Welcome back to the Milwaukee Show, and we are, of course, talking about the Carolina Hurricanes and what they need to do this offseason. Now, this is one of the best teams in the league over the last few years, and especially this year, finishing second only behind the best team to ever record a season by the Boston Bruins. So finishing second, not too bad. I gotta say, not too bad. In fact, they got further than their team that bested them in the regular season by getting all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, where first they took out the New York Islanders, the team that took the Tampa Bay Lightning to the Game 7s, I think twice, in the Eastern Conference Finals. So a pretty good team in the New York Islanders, going on to play against a team in the New Jersey Devils, a team of young guns that are on a rampage in the NHL, a team that I think they were actually the team that finished right behind them in the standings. So another great team, and they took them out as well. And then they go to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they clearly beat the Florida Panthers, but they could not beat the goaltender and Sergei Bobrovsky. And I know what the issue is, and it's been their issue over the last few years, where they could barely get past the Bruins in round one last season, and then they got taken out by the New York Rangers. And the year before that, and this team has had the same issue, and that is that they do not have a pure goal scorer. We all know it. I know I'm not saying anything groundbreaking here, but that's clearly this team's issue. And last year they did try to address that by getting Max Pacioretty, which I do think was a genius move. Unfortunately, he only played 4 games for them last year, so he didn't really get to do anything. And now he's a free agent, and sure, they could re-sign him, but who wants to sign a guy to a contract that hasn't played in a year, right? And he's aging, so probably not the best idea. Not going to re-sign him. I personally I think they should have been the biggest team to try to go for Timo Meier. They could have really used a guy like Timo. He's a stud, absolute stud, can score goals, left-handed. I think they could have used another left-handed player. And he's so good. He's just so good. I've been a Sharks fan for most of my life, and watching him play, I can tell you, I just think he really would have meshed well with this team. But they didn't go for him, which I thought was shocking. Instead, they go guys for like Puljujärvi. They got on Shane Gostisbehere, which I think was genius, but I think the same issue persisted, is that defensively, they were great already. Gostisbehere was just another note to an already amazing defense. But the issue still remained that guys like Sebastian Aho, guys like Svechnikov, which wasn't in the playoffs, but still goes for him as well, Martin Necas, Kotkaniemi, everyone on this team, they're amazing players, absolutely amazing, but they don't have a pure goal scorer. They don't have a guy that's going to get 45 goals in a season, or a guy that's going to be super skilled, make an amazing dangle play, and put it in the back of the net, right? Sebastian Aho, I'm sure, has the skill. I know Svechnikov has the skill, but they don't have like that it factor, that gonna like score top shelf out of nowhere type factor, they just don't. They just purely don't have that on this team. They don't have a guy like Barkov who will go between the legs, back out, backhand, right? They just don't have that on this team, and I don't know why that guys like Aho and Teravainen don't step up and do that type of stuff, but they just don't. They purely don't. Now, going forward, though, first they're going to have to address the bigger part of this team before that, is that they still need to sign a lot of guys. They have 15 RFA/UFAs on the market, but they do have a lot of money, $24.1 million, and only 17 out of 23 roster spots filled. They only have to fill in 6 spots on this team, but they have a lot of guys on ending this year, namely Jordan Staal, which I assume they would bring him back, and it probably wouldn't be a lot. He's older, and he's the captain. I'm sure he would probably take a pretty small contract. I don't think he's retiring, so I'd assume for him only maybe 1 to 2, potentially $3 million, so not a lot. Jesper Fast, the same thing goes for him. Really amazing defensive guy, forward out there, and also he had a big part of the last playoff run. He's a real playoff performer. And I think they need to bring him back, right? But I don't think he's going to cost a lot of money as well. I'd say probably $3 million for him, maybe 4, but I feel like 4 would be too much for him. Paul Stastny, he's probably gone. That was his season with them. He's out of here probably. Jesse Puljujärvi, though, the RFA, I'd assume they would re-sign him, but I guess, I don't know, maybe Puljujärvi's like, I want $5 million, and sticks his tongue out because that's what he does all the time. And the team's probably like, you're not worth $5 million. And I don't know what happens there. I really don't know. Jesse Puljujärvi hasn't really done a lot for any team he's played for at this point, so I'd assume they just throw him to the free agent market because I don't think they really care to have him on the team. But once again, he is the type of guy that could be that pure goal scorer, but with his short stint there, he didn't really do a lot, so I'd probably guess they don't care. But the biggest issue, though, remaining to this team is Frederik Andersen and Antti Ranta, which will arise another situation over this offseason that they're going to need potential goaltending depth, especially a backup goalie. Now, they could re-sign Antti Ranta, and especially with how he played in the playoffs this year, I'd assume they might bring him back on, and they do have Pyotr Kochetkov, which I don't remember. I don't know why people have issues saying his name. It's pretty simple. Kochetkov, Pyotr, it's all like written out right there. But anyways, that's a side tangent that doesn't need to be brought up. So Kochetkov probably going to be brought up to be taking the net, which with his short stint over this, I think he played 15 games this season. I think he had a pretty good record and pretty good numbers during that stint, and he does look pretty good. When he is playing, he does look phenomenal. He does look ready to be the number one goaltender, but with these young goalies, you can never be sure of them, so I would definitely think having a guy like Antti Ranta as that backup goaltender to maybe take off some of the load. Maybe you split the net 50-50, 40 games each for both of them. I don't think with Frederik Andersen, and because they do have a lot of RFAs coming up next season, which is scary. But for Andersen, giving him a big contract of $6 million for his work probably won't be the best for them. I think having Kochetkov being only on that $2 million contract and then re-signing him for $5 million for the future is probably better than Frederik Andersen. So he's probably walking. Antti Ranta, I'd assume probably get a $3 to $4 million contract. So by my estimations, and usually I do a lot more on the board here when it comes to the re-signing of people, but for me, there's just so many guys on this team that it's hard for me to speculate. But for me, I would assume after bringing in 5 guys, because I think they need 1 star on this team, and having Antti Ranta back there, I would assume they'd still end up having, at bare minimum, have $6 million at bare minimum left, and that's a huge stretch for $6 million. So they're going to have cap space. And with that cap space, they also have rumors that they're moving on from Brett Pesce, and his contract is $5 million this upcoming season as well. So with whatever money they have left from re-signing people, plus the subtraction of Brett Pesce as a trade option as well, those two factors combined, they have the cap space to bring on a guy, right? Now, the question is, who is that guy? Now, I'm sure you've already read ahead on the board here, but for the star skilled player that can score a goal out of nowhere, just make an amazing play, or just get that amazing shot from any direction and try to get that thing top shelf or whatever, have that lucky shot, I'm going to go with Alex DeBrincat, a former 40-goal scorer, and just a super talented player, right-handed, with speed, and especially the speed part. This guy's got speed, he's got hands, he's played with Patrick Kane. This guy's got it all. He's young enough to really keep him a part of the team for a while, and I think this would be genius. If I was the Hurricanes, last year, my huge go for them was Timo Meier. This year, I'm going with Alex DeBrincat. And DeBrincat, I with what's going on with him and the Senators, I really think going for him, and the Senators are a team looking to explode next year as well. I think bringing on DeBrincat with, however, if they become him with an RFA and his trade his rights away, or if they somehow re-sign him, because I know they're going to arbitration, maybe they sign him and then they trade contracts for him and Brett Pesce. I do think the Senators could use a guy like Pesce on their defense, and some way like that, especially with a first-round pick. I mean, if I was the Senators, and by the way, it looks like Alex DeBrincat doesn't really want to be there, a trade of, Pesce and a first-round pick to the Senators for DeBrincat, it seems like a steal to me. So I think that's their number one thing, and I think that could be the trade itself. Pesce and a first-rounder for DeBrincat. Perfect option there, I think. Fit him with Sebastian Aho, DeBrincat, and Teravainen or Svechnikov, I think would be a killer line with the speed and skill that line would have, and DeBrincat being able to be that 40-goal scorer, I think would be huge, and being able to play with Aho and Svechnikov or Teravainen, whoever it ends up being, or maybe he fits better with Martin Necas, whoever it is on this team, I think would be huge. I think he could be a 50-goal scorer, and that's the type of player they need. A guy and he's small too, right? So he could get the puck between the legs, fit underneath the guys, go forehand back into the back of the net, right? That's what I see Alex DeBrincat bringing to this team. And guys like Aho, they just don't do that type of stuff, and DeBrincat is what they need. My other option on the free agent side, though, is Vladimir Tarasenko. Another former, not former, but a pure goal scorer, left-handed kind of guy. I feel like his work where you can feed him the puck, and he's got some great hands too, right? Sebastian Aho, feed it to him, toe drag, shot in the back of the net. That's who they're missing. A guy who can just get the puck on his stick in the slot and wrist it in. They don't really have that on this team. They just purely don't. And Tarasenko, to me, would be their second option, but being with his age, and he's probably going to want some good term on his contract and the RFAs that they're bringing up, I think with his, he's not old by any means. I think he's 30, 31, maybe even 29, something like that. He doesn't have bad age, but Alex DeBrincat, to me, I think would be a better fit for the team. That would be my pick. And for goaltending-wise, I do think they need to bring in, I think Antti Ranta's the solution there. Just have him split the net with Kochetkov. Ranta's an underrated goaltender. With his time with Arizona, he was fantastic. He had some amazing saves in the playoffs. He was huge as well against the Devils and the New York Islanders. He was great in those series. And during the season, he's a great goaltender. Underrated, definitely. And with Kochetkov, I think it's the same situation over there in Buffalo, where I think they should bring in a guy like Hellebuck and split the net with those two guys and let Hellebuck go into the sunset next season. With Ranta, let him be his last year of being maybe a fringe starter, I guess. Have him split the net and give him that time. And then next season, maybe he re-signs for a smaller contract, go down to $2 million. Kochetkov finishes out his $2 million contract, and then go from there. That's how I see it. But overall, I think this team, if they don't make any moves and they don't do anything crazy and they just stick with what they have already, they're going to be a good team. They're already a playoff team, and if they re-sign all their guys that they're going to do, I would say Stahl and Fost. And, who knows? Maybe a guy like Stastny. Who knows who they go for? Maybe they bring in a guy like Tyler Bertuzzi. Don't really think he'd fit the team, though. I don't think he's a solution there. But move out guys like Brett Pesce, and I'm sure he's going to fetch a really good offer as well. The team's going to make some moves, and I think overall, no matter what happens, they're a playoff team, right? They're still one of the best teams in the league. But to me, if they don't make the right moves, they're going to be good. But if they do make the right moves, they're going to be absolutely fantastic. And last year, I saw them as a Stanley Cup champion. I actually think if they made it to the finals instead of Florida, I think Vegas wouldn't be parading right now. And that's really all I got to say. Carolina, to me, was the best team. I was touting it since before the season started, that they were my Stanley Cup option. Every single offense, defense, goaltending, they have it covered. And next season, I think they still got it covered, but I think they still have that one issue, the same issue that hit Seattle as well. They need a star. They need a guy that's going to be a game changer, and they simply just don't have that, and they need to. And it's been the issue for the last 5 seasons, I'd say. They need a guy like an Erik Karlsson, who I don't think they can trade for. I've heard stirrings that maybe they'll go for him. I guess I doubt it, though. And I think, if they could go, I think that is one thing that would work. Erik Karlsson, the way he can hold the puck and set up plays, they need a guy like that, and that's all I got to say. So thank you for watching this. If you've made it this far, thank you, and please, I'm begging you to pick up your free subscription. I'm only 7 subscribers away to 300, which would be huge. I've got it's huge. I'll talk about it another day, but thank you for watching this. Have an amazing day. Too sweet, and ta-ta for now.